While I was setting up a stall with my daughter and being chased away by urban management officers, my ex-husband helped me. He sighed and said, "Let's remarry, Nina is still young and shouldn't suffer like this." I agreed without hesitation. After returning, I no longer acted jealously or threw tantrums. Nina also stopped competing with his childhood sweetheart's daughter for their father's attention. When he accompanied his childhood sweetheart and her daughter overnight without returning, my daughter and I did not call to urge him. When we encountered them outside, my daughter and I tactfully avoided them. We became the sensible versions he most desired. Yet, he reddened his eyes and asked, "Wife, why aren't you angry? Nina, why don't you act spoiled with Dad anymore?" After completing the remarriage procedures and returning home, Ethan followed a step behind. Nina and I were standing at the door. "Why aren't you going in?" I calmly said, "The password has been changed." As we were speaking, the door opened from inside. Vera, wearing an apron, playfully scolded, "Why are you back so late?" "Hannah has asked several times, Miss Ruby?" I politely nodded. "Miss Ruby, please don't misunderstand, Ethan has been busy with work lately, so I came to stew some soup for him. I always forget the password, so Ethan changed it to my birthday. I'll change it back right away." However, she made no move, and her eyes could not conceal the flaunting. "Daddy!" A figure pounced onto Ethan's leg. Vera panicked and covered her mouth, appearing afraid of me. "Hannah, didn't Mom tell you to call him Uncle Ethan?" Ethan looked over awkwardly. Seeing that Nina and I did not make a scene as before, a trace of surprise appeared on his face. Nina's room had many more items. Vera lightly bit her lower lip. "Hannah sometimes sleeps here." The small hand in my palm tightened, and Nina softly said, "Mom, I can switch to another room." My previously calm heart suddenly felt a dull pain. In the past, upon seeing Ethan care for Hannah, she would pout and cry loudly, shouting, "Daddy is mine alone." Each time, Ethan would reprimand me for poor discipline. Now, she just quietly looked at the changed room. Children are very sensitive. She had already understood that only those who are favored can act spoiled. Ethan furrowed his brows. Vera hurriedly said, "I'll take the things away, Miss Ruby, you and Nina must not be angry with us." The mother and daughter huddled together, shivering piteously. In the past, I was always provoked by her insinuating words, leading to arguments with Ethan. But now, I just looked on indifferently without speaking. Ethan suddenly spoke, "In the future, don't come and go from my house casually. As a single mother, people will gossip." After packing up, Hannah said with a sobbing tone, "Daddy, Hannah wants you to escort us." Ethan hesitated and looked at me. I smiled. "With your many years of friendship with Miss Vera, it's only right to escort them." He opened his mouth to say something, but I turned to boil water. Before leaving, Ethan hurriedly said, "Wait for me to come back, we'll have a good talk." Only after everyone left did Nina and I fully relax. Soon, a message popped up on my phone. "Vera, sorry, Miss Ruby, Hannah is used to Ethan watching cartoons with her, he'll be back a bit later." It was that familiar sorry again. I smiled and replied briefly, "Okay." Ethan returned only the next day, while I was reading Nina a prenup story. I did not question him about anything. Acting jealously and throwing tantrums as before would only arouse his dissatisfaction with me and implicate Nina. After Nina fell asleep, Ethan handed me a box. It was the black diamond necklace I had once wanted but was outbid by someone else. In the past, I would have joyfully pounced on him and hugged him. But now, my heart was completely calm. I used to love jewelry. But after moving into the urban village, I was pulled by a thief yanking my necklace, falling down the stairs with a bloody head. From then on, I realized these things were ostentatious and impractical, and could even cost me my life. Not receiving the enthusiastic reaction he imagined, Ethan's expression shifted slightly. "Let me put it on for you." I smiled and dodged, "Thank you, but I don't like wearing jewelry now." He stiffened. I went to the kitchen to cut fruit, and when I came out again, Ethan was gone. In the afternoon, I took Nina out. These 2 years, I was tight on money, and Nina often wore hand-me-downs from the landlord's daughter. Now, I could finally buy her fitting clothes. When entering the children's clothing store, I encountered Vera and her daughter. And Ethan. The salesperson eagerly introduced to them, Ethan, Mrs. Vera, this is the new arrival from yesterday, it's very suitable for little Princess Hannah. Hannah shouted, I want this. Ethan smiled and swiped his card. Madam, what do you need? A salesperson approached. I softly said, I'd like to buy 2 outfits for the child to wear now. Ethan and the others also looked this way. I pretended not to see and pulled Nina inside. After trying on the clothes and coming out, Vera and her daughter were gone. Ethan looked at me with a complex expression. Today is Hannah's birthday, I'm giving her clothes as a gift. Send my blessings. After saying that, I turned to the doubtful-looking salesperson, pack both sets. Just as I was about to go pay, Ethan grabbed me. I quickly withdrew my hand. The salesperson's gaze wandered, Madam, you and Ethan. I smiled, we are acquaintances. There was a clang behind me. Ethan, your phone dropped. I turned back, Ethan stared at me intently, what nonsense are you saying? I was puzzled, aren't you going to accompany them for the birthday? He continued glaring at me, his chest heaving violently, yet he said nothing. I was confused but dared not provoke him, so I pulled Nina and walked out. Just as I stepped out of the store, Ethan grabbed me. He asked in a deep voice, you're just letting them mistake our relationship like this? I laughed, aren't you the one who cares most about Vera's reputation? Ethan was choked, and after a long pause, he said, why are you different from before? In the past, I would quarrel over such matters. Ethan was always impatient, don't make unreasonable trouble, Vera is a widow with a child, it's not easy, with the identity of Mrs. Jiang, others won't bully her. But now, what's the point of competing with Vera over these? I just want to raise Nina well and let her live the affluent life she deserves. I calmly said, isn't this what you've always hoped for? Ethan's face turned ashen, and he flicked his sleeve and left. I didn't mind, took Nina to eat and drink, and bought many things. This life without worrying about livelihood seemed to return to before the divorce. After marriage, I became a full-time housewife. People around envied me, having a wealthy father and marrying a self-made young talent. I once thought I would continue this happiness forever. Until Vera divorced. Ethan missed Valentine's Day for the first time, telling me he was working overtime at the company. But as soon as he got home, Vera delivered his tie to the door. I was puzzled. He just pinched his nose bridge, Vera works at the company, she brought it along the way. I wanted to ask more, but seeing his tired appearance, I couldn't bear to. At home, I had everything handed to me, he worked so hard outside. It seemed I really shouldn't doubt him. I told myself that couples need at least basic trust and shouldn't be jealous indiscriminately. But later, such incidents increased. On our wedding anniversary, Ethan left me alone in the restaurant to rescue Vera, who was troubled by her landlord. During a sudden downpour, Nina and I were trapped at the early education center, while Ethan sent Vera and Hannah home. When Nina caught influenza A with high fever and convulsions, I couldn't contact Ethan and took her to the hospital alone, only to see him bringing an expert team to treat Hannah's scratched hand. Each time, Vera would proactively message me to report. Sorry, Miss Ruby, Ethan said I can't stay here anymore and arranged me in his house. Sorry, Miss Ruby, it's my fault for feeling dizzy, Ethan will pick you up after sending me. Sorry, Miss Ruby, Ethan is just too nervous about Hannah, I'll talk to him later. I couldn't tolerate it anymore and questioned Ethan repeatedly, who exactly is his wife and daughter? At first, he patiently explained, we've known each other for so many years, help if we can. Later, he became increasingly impatient. Your family is wealthy, you don't understand the hardships of the lower class, can't you be considerate of her? Vera is a widow with a child, it's not easy, why must you target her? Don't you have self-care ability? I have so much work to do, and still have to revolve around you mother and daughter? If the child isn't taught well, change someone to raise her. At such a young age learning to bully, won't she become a little tyrant in the future? Nina and I no longer waited for him to come home with full expectation. Because as soon as he returned, what greeted this small family was arguments. Nina became increasingly silent. Even the kindergarten teacher came to ask if something happened at home. What truly made me decide to divorce was the day of Ethan's company annual meeting. He told me he was working overtime. During that time I was always tired and sleepy, and momentarily forgot about the annual meeting. Until I scrolled to a local Instagram post, HD Tech Boss and Boss Lady are such a perfect match, like a pair from an idol drama. The accompanying image was a photo of Ethan and Vera standing side by side at the annual meeting. I called Ethan 5 or 6 times with no answer. The 7th call finally connected, but Vera's voice came from the other side. "Miss Ruby, Ethan is very busy now, whatever you have to say, telling me is the same." I asked her to let Ethan answer the phone. But she giggled coquettishly, "Miss Ruby, I am Ethan's secretary, he has no secrets from me. Do you know, today many people said I am more suitable to be Ethan's wife." My whole body trembled. I hung up the phone and rushed to the annual meeting site in slippers. Vera was hugging Ethan's waist, her whole body nestled in his arms. I angrily pulled them apart, glaring at Ethan. "Is this what you call overtime? Hugging her is also overtime?" Vera came over to pull me. "Miss Ruby, I drank too much, don't misunderstand." I shook off her hand and glared at her. "Don't touch me, mistress." My strength wasn't great, but she let out a delicate cry and fell to the ground. "Ruby, what madness are you in?" Ethan harshly pushed me away, distrustedly helped Vera up, and carefully checked her condition. My lower back hit the table corner, hurting so much that tears came out. Vera's eyes were red, forcibly holding back tears. "It's all my fault, don't argue because of me." Ethan quickly comforted her. "It has nothing to do with you, it's her being neurotic." Then turning to me, he said coldly, "Ruby, I've told you many times, Vera's mother entrusted me to take care of her on her deathbed. Do you know how hard her life is raising a child? As a woman, how can you be so vicious, using the term mistress to insult her?" His gaze toward me was icy, even with a hint of disgust. "My patience with you is limited, know when to stop. Don't make me regret marrying you." As soon as the words fell, there was a buzzing in my ears. I looked at Ethan in disbelief. I wanted to say, "You are my husband, Ruby's husband, how can you side with an outsider?" I wanted to say, "Vera demonstrates and flaunts to me every time, don't you know?" I wanted to say her true face on the phone just now. But something blocked my throat, and after a long time I only said, "Then let's divorce." The moment it came out, I felt suddenly liberated. I didn't even want to bother with Vera's gloating expression. Ethan was stunned, then sneered, "Ruby, besides threatening divorce, what else can you do? Is your life nothing but jealousy?" After saying that, he supported Vera and left. That day, I returned home and sat in the living room until dawn. Only when Nina cried loudly did I discover blood all over between my legs. The second child that came quietly had left quietly again. A week later, Ethan and I completed the divorce procedures. Nina's custody went to me. Later, my dad's company had problems, several cooperation projects were maliciously snatched, and in just half a year, it could only apply for bankruptcy. My dad had a myocardial infarction and entered the hospital. After several rescues, he still passed away. I used the remaining assets to pay the employees' wages, turning from a rich young lady into a single mother in the urban village. Nina suffered a lot with me. Countless times, I woke up crying in dreams, regretting that I had harmed her. This time, I wouldn't revolve around Ethan in jealousy anymore. As long as I could give myself and Nina good living conditions, even if Ethan found 10 Veras, I would turn a blind eye. After Ethan left that day, he never returned. 3 days later, Nina enrolled in a new kindergarten. I began preparing an online store. Previously, when setting up stalls, I sold pet clothes I made myself and some small ornaments. Business was decent. Many customers suggested I open a store. But at that time, I worked as a waitress in a restaurant during the day and could only set up stalls at night. Production wasn't enough. now with capital, I could finally start. After the previous marriage, although I didn't work, the house had a room left for me to make clothes. Now it was perfect for a studio. I also bought some equipment for handmade live streaming. When Ethan returned, I was just eating. He searched the kitchen. "You didn't make my portion?" I was stunned. "I thought you wouldn't come back." He was momentarily speechless. I hurriedly went to the kitchen. "I'll make it right away, wait a moment." While washing vegetables, I suddenly remembered that in the past, whether he came home or not, I would prepare dinner waiting. Even if no one ate it in the end and it was thrown away. But today, I really forgot. I sighed. I couldn't do this next time. During dinner, there was another silence. After a long time, Ethan suddenly spoke. "These days, a project at the company had issues. I've been staying at the office." "Oh." After thinking, I added, "It must be hard. I'll draw some water for you to soak in a bath." He looked at me silently for a while, suddenly wiped his face, his voice somewhat weak. "These days, you haven't contacted me at all." In the past, I always couldn't help sharing life with him. Afraid of delaying his work, I didn't dare call, so I sent messages. Even if he rarely replied, I sent dozens a day. But now, I was no longer that Ruby who revolved around him wholeheartedly. I was afraid of delaying your matters. Ethan stared at me, his voice carrying some unclear meaning. "What do you think I was doing? That you'd delay me?" I smiled. "No matter what you do, I shouldn't disturb." After the words fell, the room was silent again. I cleared the table and went to the kitchen. Ethan followed. "There are many express boxes outside. What did you buy?" I hesitated for a moment but told the truth. "I opened an online store. Those are materials." He nodded without saying anything. Soon, a text popped up. He transferred a large sum of money to me. "Thank you." Ethan's hand paused while taking the fruit plate. "We are husband and wife. My money is your money, no need to be so polite." I smiled without speaking. Ethan's phone rang, displaying Vera on the screen. He glanced at me and answered in front of me. I had no interest in listening and tactfully went to the balcony to collect clothes. "There's something with Vera." I handed him his coat. "Go quickly." He looked at me deeply. "I'll be back soon." A few minutes after Ethan left, the kindergarten teacher called. "Nina's mom." Nina fell from the slide. Rushing to the hospital, the teacher led me in while saying, "Nina had a conflict with another child." As soon as the words fell, we reached the clinic door. The other child's parent was also led over. It was Vera, and Ethan. Ethan's expression changed. "The injured one is Nina?" I ignored him and went straight into the emergency room. Nina had a fractured arm and mild concussion. Her small face was very pale at this time, and she shrank listlessly in my arms. The principal played the surveillance video on the phone. Nina went up the slide first, saw Hannah following behind, and let her slide first. But Hannah turned back and said something unknown, and Nina stood back. Hannah bumped into her back, and Nina fell from the high slide. I was furious and looked coldly at Hannah. She shrank behind Vera, calling Mom with a sobbing tone. The mother and daughter both had red eyes, shrinking their shoulders, looking as if they were the victims. "Sorry, Nina's mom, I'll pay for Nina's medical expenses." Vera's eyes contained tears, and she looked at Ethan plaintively. "I'll criticize Hannah when we get back. Please don't blame Hannah, she definitely didn't mean it." The always silent Nina suddenly spoke. "She said Dad doesn't want me anymore, and sooner or later will drive me and Mom out." Vera was greatly shocked and blocked Hannah, who wanted to speak. "Nina, you're only a few years old, how can you make up such lies to deceive adults?" She implied. "Did someone teach you this? In the past, you also, ah." I put down my hand and said coldly, "This slap is to make your mouth cleaner." Vera covered her face, her eyes teary and pitiful. "Miss Ruby, I know you toward me, but Hannah is innocent. Ethan watched her grow up and knows best what her character is." I sneered, turned my face away, not wanting to see her pretentious act anymore. Nina wanted to say something, looked at Ethan, and stopped. The teacher patiently coaxed her. "Nina, Is there anything else you want to say? Nina shook her head, buried her face in my arms, her voice muffled. Except for Mom, no one will believe me. It was like this before. My heart ached so much that my hands were shaking. Ethan furrowed his brows. Nina, I looked at him coldly, my voice no longer suppressing anger. The injured one is my child. If you don't feel heartache, I do. Ethan approached in astonishment, wanting to pull me. I didn't mean that. I subconsciously held Nina and stepped back. His voice stopped abruptly, staring at me in disbelief. You don't believe me? I indeed didn't believe him. Just like how he treated me and Vera. Between the two children, his balance always tilted toward Hannah. If Hannah liked Nina's birthday gift, he would ignore Nina's crying and give it to Hannah. If Hannah cut her own skirt and said Nina wouldn't let her wear it, he would throw away all of Nina's princess dresses. If Hannah fell from the steps and said Nina pushed her, he would confine Nina without asking. Time and again. Actually, another reason for the initial divorce was that I really didn't want Nina to suffer grievances anymore. Thinking of this, I turned my face away. I don't want my daughter to be in the same kindergarten as such a child. Either she leaves, or we do. Thud. Vera pulled Hannah to kneel on the ground, sobbing, Sorry, Miss Ruby, I know you don't like me and Hannah. But Hannah is already used to this kindergarten and likes the environment here. She looked at Ethan with a plaintive expression. I will definitely teach Hannah not to provoke Nina. Please, Miss Ruby, don't drive us away. Ethan turned his face away, not helping her up as usual. Vera's eyes widened. This time she was truly panicked and tugged at Ethan's hem. Ethan. I was truly tired of this farce. Stop acting, Vera. I'm tired of these boring tricks. Isn't it Ethan you want? Just a man, I'll give him to you. I looked at Ethan. Let's divorce. Ethan forcefully broke free from Vera's hand, walked to me, his tone urgent. Ruby, I'll handle this matter properly, don't say angry words. After saying that, he went to touch Nina's hair. Nina, Dad will uphold justice for you. But Nina turned her head away, dodging his hand. Ethan's hand stiffened in midair. I calmly said, Ethan, I'm not saying angry words. Originally remarrying you was to give Nina a good life. But now. My gaze turned to Vera and her daughter. As long as we're by your side, we won't have a good time. Vera pretended to blame herself. It's all me and Hannah's fault, don't argue because of us. But her eyes were full of gloating. Ethan suddenly roared, You shut up. He had never spoken to Vera in such a tone. She widened her eyes in disbelief. Ethan. But Ethan didn't look at her again, his chest heaving violently, just staring at me without speaking. The principal came out to mediate, suggesting we go back to the kindergarten to discuss the follow-up. I only said, Nina and that child, only one can stay, you handle it. After returning home to pack some hospitalization items, I contacted a lawyer again. This time I couldn't be foolish and want nothing. Ethan soon returned to the hospital. Ruby, I've already transferred Hannah to another kindergarten, Nina won't see her again. I calmly said, Oh, so what? Will Nina's arm heal? He was momentarily speechless, and after a long pause, said, I am Nina's dad, I also heartache for her. I know you're angry, but you can't be impulsive and say anything. I interrupted him, no longer able to pretend, Ethan, I'm not impulsive. I can accept you supporting Vera and her daughter outside, but I don't accept them hurting Nina relying on your favor. Ethan showed a trace of anxiety, explaining, I didn't favor them, you and Nina are my family, how could I? I laughed, is that so? A wave of fatigue suddenly surged. I closed my eyes. Ethan, do you remember why we divorced? He was speechless, and after a long time, said hoarsely, I remember. Without waiting for me to speak, he hurriedly explained, but at that time, I agreed to divorce because I was angry that you didn't believe me. Later, when your family had issues, I've been waiting for you to come back to me. I sneered, so you knew about Nina and my situation. But to make me show weakness initiatively, he had been watching coldly. Ethan's gaze shifted guiltily. I looked for you. I looked at him, enunciating each word, when Nina had appendicitis, but I was driven out by your company's security. That time I really had no way. After renting the house, I had only 300 yuan left. After sending Nina to the hospital, I discovered my bag was slashed, and the money was gone. That day, I waited downstairs at HD Tech for over an hour, and finally was escorted out by security. They disdainfully said, "He said he doesn't want to see you again in this lifetime." Hearing this, Ethan exclaimed, "How is that possible?" His face was full of shock, his hands trembling. I couldn't have said such words. I lowered my head, whether said or not, it's not important anymore. Before, I thought if Nina and I were sensible, we could live stably. I thought too much. "Ethan, you're not suitable to be my husband, nor Nina's dad. This remarriage was a mistake from the beginning." Ethan's whole body stiffened, staring at me fixedly, his lips moving but saying nothing for a long time. Before leaving, Ethan stopped with his back to me. "I'll give you an explanation for this matter, I won't divorce." I wasn't anxious. He just couldn't accept being dumped by me a second time, agreeing was just a matter of time. Ethan came to the hospital again the next day. "I bought the shrimp dumplings you like, and the pan-fried buns Nina likes." I accepted them naturally and took Nina to eat. Nina chattered to me with her small mouth, but didn't give Ethan a single glance. His face showed a lost expression. After eating, Ethan proactively cleaned up the trash and washed the fruits. Nina watched cartoons, while I did handicrafts on the side. Ethan sat for a while and approached Nina. "What cartoon is Nina watching?" Nina's clear big eyes looked at him, then silently lowered her head. The smile on Ethan's face could no longer be maintained, and he found an excuse to leave. The next evening, near the end of visiting hours, he hurriedly came to the hospital. I just pushed the door to get water, and Ethan hugged me at once. I struggled but couldn't break free. I found the security from that time. He said Vera told him to do that. His voice trembled, regretting, "Sorry, I didn't know she would do such a thing. Ruby, I'll fire her." I pushed him away expressionlessly. This was what he should have done. That time, if not for a kind doctor advancing the medical fees, Nina might not have had the surgery. And he, the biological father, was arrogantly waiting for Nina and me to beg him. I returned to the ward to fetch a divorce agreement. Nina still goes to me, "If no issues with the rest, sign it." Ethan's hand loosened, and the agreement fell to the ground. He gripped my shoulders, showing a pleading expression. "Ruby, I won't care about Vera's matters anymore, let's live well, okay?" I stared into his eyes. "Ethan, if you could have done this 3 years ago, we wouldn't be like this now. You cannot sign, I'll sue directly. HD Tech is preparing to go public soon, right?" He staggered back 2 steps, his face full of regret. I ignored him and turned back to the ward. Ethan didn't sign that agreement, I simply sent him the electronic version. In the following days, Ethan acted as if nothing happened, coming to the hospital daily to see Nina for a while and then leaving. After Nina was discharged, we moved to another house. I didn't plan to keep the original villa, it was already dirty. When Ethan's mother came, Nina and I were bathing the newly bought puppy. "Ruby, with so many years of feelings with Ethan, it's not easy to remarry, don't toss anymore. Nina is so young, do you have the heart to make her a single-parent child?" Seeing my calm expression, Grace showed a trace of dissatisfaction. "You young people are too serious. Vera and Ethan grew up together since childhood, what's wrong with caring a bit? If they really had something, they would have married long ago, where would it be your turn?" Realizing her words were excessive, she lightly coughed. "Anyway, think about the child, if you divorce again, you'll be second married, which man would want you later?" No matter what she said, I just listened calmly, neither arguing nor agreeing. When leaving, Grace muttered softly, "Pretentious." I sent Ethan a message, "No matter who comes as a lobbyist, it's useless, Ethan, I want a divorce." There was no reply from that side. A few days later, one evening, the doorbell suddenly rang. Ethan's secretary panted, "Sister-in-law, Ethan drank too much, open the door." I just wanted to refuse, but looking down at Nina's upturned small face, I sighed. Although I didn't want to see Ethan, he and Nina were father and daughter after all. The secretary delivered Ethan up and left. I threw a wet towel on his face. Stop pretending, your alcohol tolerance isn't that bad. After a moment of silence, Ethan silently got up, looking at me with red eyes. If not pretending to be drunk, you wouldn't let me in. I looked at him quietly without speaking. Ethan slowly inserted his fingers into his hair, his voice suddenly carrying a choke. Sorry, I didn't know Vera would act against you. Behind my back, she used HD Tech's name to contact several partners to deal with your dad. Later, she repeatedly obstructed your job search. I straightened my body, shocked inside. No wonder, even though I graduated from a prestigious university, every job was inexplicably terminated. Later, there weren't even companies inviting me for interviews. In the end, I could only make a living by setting up stalls. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot as he looked at me, his face full of remorse. Sorry. You never came to find me. In anger, I stopped paying attention to you. He walked to me, his lowered eyes revealing sorrow. Are you never going to forgive me? I seemed to see again that Ethan who was at a loss when I confessed to him. That Ethan who, upon hearing I sprained my ankle in PE class, skipped class to take me to the hospital. That Ethan who was so excited upon hearing I was pregnant that he drove the wrong way. Ultimately, they became that Ethan who said with a face full of disgust that he regretted marrying me. In the previous divorce, I was busy with livelihood and had no time for sentimentality. Now I knew I had finally let go completely. I shook my head. I don't hate you. How to talk about forgiveness? Ethan's eyes instantly misted over, and he turned away in embarrassment. I calmly said, in the future, our contact will just be as Nina's guardians. After saying that, I returned to the room. After some time, the door closing sound came from outside. I came out to see the signed divorce agreement on the coffee table. Some clauses were modified. Ethan added some assets to me. Now I was richer than him. The lawyer had all materials ready and directly sued Vera to return the marital community property of me and Ethan. On the court day, Vera was not as spirited and clad in luxury as before. She shed her weak disguise and glared at me viciously. The transfer records and shopping receipts were conclusive. The amount she needed to return was over $2 million. While Nina and I worried about food and shelter, Ethan was lavishing money on this so-called friend. A gaze fell on me. I pretended not to notice. After the judgment, I walked out directly. Vera rushed out, cursing behind me. Ruby. Don't think you've won. I stopped, turned, and sneered. Those things you desperately wanted are what I discarded. You only deserve to pick up trash. She was so angry she jumped, lunging without image to slap me, but was grabbed back and thrown aside by someone. Ethan glanced at her coldly and walked toward me. Vera wailed resentfully, Ethan. I've waited for you so many years. Do you deserve me? You promised my mom to take care of me for life. Have you forgotten? Ethan's face darkened, and he hurriedly explained to me, Ruby, I had nothing with her. I smiled indifferently and turned to leave. We were about to divorce. Who cared if they had an affair? A week later, the lawyer called me. Vera is in prison. Ethan sued her for leaking trade secrets and embezzling public funds, with conclusive evidence. Vera was sentenced to 3 years in prison. A month later, Ethan and I completed the divorce procedures. I specially dressed up and did my hair. Holding the divorce certificate coming out of the office hall, I felt refreshed. Ethan's voice sounded behind, Ruby, let's have one last meal. I turned around. Ethan had become much more listless during this time. His hair was no longer meticulously styled, bangs hanging casually in front, eyes bruised, cheeks sunken, beard unshaven. It seemed this divorce hit him quite hard. I smiled, no need for the meal, I have things to do. After saying that, I drove away decisively. At the hospital, a nurse bought several pet clothes for me. After dressing her cat and posting online, it unexpectedly went viral. My online store thus gained many orders in a short time. It could no longer expand at home. After looking for a few days, I decided to rent a studio. Now it was in the final stage of renovation, ventilating formaldehyde. Seeing the neat workbenches and materials, I couldn't help recording a video and posting it to my account. Once I entrusted my life to Ethan, now thinking back, how foolish. I should have jumped out of the family long ago to find my true value. This studio was the starting point of my new life. Just after posting the video, someone liked it. The username was JH. Children's bones are soft. Nina recovered quickly, and after re-examination, she could finally go back to school. That day, picking her up after school, as we got in the car, we found a little boy in the back seat. Nina shouted, "Leo! How are you in my mom's car?" The little boy covered her mouth. "Don't shout. If my uncle hears, it'll be bad." At this moment, a deep voice sounded outside the car, "Leo, come out to me." I turned back. It was a tall man with sharp features. Leo struggled wildly, but was still lifted out like a chick. The man apologized to me and left carrying the child. "That's the little tyrant from class 2, Teacher Amy said to stay away from him." Nina furrowed her small brows. "Mom, what does Diamond Bachelor mean?" During nap time, Teacher Amy said Leo's uncle is a Diamond Bachelor. I couldn't help laughing, pinching her cheek. "Caught you, you didn't sleep at noon today." The studio's business got better over this half year. I contacted factories and added mass production categories beyond handmade. I wanted to slowly build my own brand. That day, I went to the factory to modify a detail, but encountered the factory manager seeing someone out. It was Leo's uncle. With only one encounter, I just nodded and was about to leave. Unexpectedly, he called me. "I am the executive director of XX Company, Limited, Julian." Julian saw my studio's products at the factory and was very interested. And their company was just about to make a batch of year-end gifts, not many in quantity, but high requirements. They hadn't found a satisfactory design yet. I naturally wouldn't miss the business opportunity at hand and exchanged contact information with him. Just returning to the studio, the new Xiao Wu told me someone was waiting for me. I hadn't seen Ethan for a long time. He was even more decadent than on the divorce day, his suit even loose and ill-fitting. Seeing me, his eyes lit up, the joy on his face unmasked. "Ethan set up a trust fund for Nina. I might not see her grow up." I was stunned, looking up at him. Ethan's eyes were somewhat red, perhaps it's retribution. "Last month I was diagnosed with liver cancer, advanced stage." I opened my mouth, momentarily not knowing what to say. The room was silent. The fire in Ethan's eyes slowly extinguished. He smiled self-mockingly. That day before leaving, he suddenly hugged me. Tears rolled down my neck. Ethan choked, "Sorry." 4 months later, Ethan passed away. He had notarized his will in advance, dividing the company shares among me, Nina, and Grace, 1 portion each. "This ex-husband of yours did something human." Julian cut the steak well and swapped it with mine. "You've been divorced for so long, not planning to contact other men?" I met his gaze. "Julian, this other man wouldn't be referring to yourself, right? If you think so, that's fine." Our wine glasses clinked, and we smiled at each other.